You are a good thing. Stop letting people, TV, men, etc. define you. God gave you the victory over everything the devil was trying to get you to think about. I learned that God goes above and beyond, and we cannot even try to guess the plans that He has for us. That we are not the author of our story, God is. Because faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the convictions of things not seen. And if you're waiting to be able to see the end result before you make a move, you're not moving on faith. The purpose is not a position or a job or a title. Purpose is a posture. God is going to take you on a journey, and it's not going to make sense now. Baby, when that thing clicks, you're going to see that it was all a part of the process. Be you, shine bright, and stay holy. And if that's not possible, then baby, take that up with God. Hello, holy people. How are we doing? Whew. We are in the last week of September, and wow, is all I can say. So much has happened, so many blessings, so many just unexpected miracles. We are here. We are here. Now, I know I said on the last episode that I was going to Woman Evolve. I'm just going to make myself comfortable, okay? Because clearly I'm not in my podcasting headquarters. I am down here in Jalen Gaston's office, his headquarters. As you can see, let me take y'all on a tour real quick. We got his photo backdrop, his t-shirt stuff, all the things, honey, lights, camera, action, my husband fancy. He has all of downstairs to himself. I have a little closet section upstairs. But I'm gonna make myself comfortable because I honestly have just been so in awe with God over the last few days that I couldn't even really prepare something formally for you all. I just needed to come on here and just talk to y'all this week. That's all I had the capacity to do. So I'm gonna make myself comfortable. Don't mind me, because we here. So I know you all, heard that I went to Woman Evolve. So I went to Woman Evolve last week, and everything you've been reading about it online truly is all of that and more. It is so hard to describe the experience that I had there, other than it was very liberating. It was very empowering. It was very impactful and life-changing, truly, to be in that room. So I can guarantee you that I'm gonna try to be in that room next year for sure, already making plans for it. And so this is not going to be a Woman Evolved debrief. I hopefully, God willing, Lord willing, can give that to you all within the next few weeks as we enter into October. But I still need time to process all of the things, literally all of the things that happened. I went with 20 amazing women, and they all felt like family members by the end of that trip. And I want to bring some of them on, but when I say there was just so much happening, there is still, can I say that, still so much happening that God is doing that, God's going to reveal the story in his timing. And so I'm going to be respectful of that, because I do not believe this is going to be the week that God wants me to talk about Woman Evolved. So y'all going to have to hold on a little while longer in order for me to go ahead and unpack that. But what I do want to talk about is a word that I feel like I received this week, recently, actually a few days ago, from God, that I've been holding on to because I don't know what it means. And I still don't know what it means, but I want to describe to you how it feels. So the word I believe I got from God was, your next step is not going to make sense. Your next step is not going to make sense. And what, Lord? So if y'all would please, this is going to be more of like a diary entry because I need to process this with my holy people so that we can figure out what is God trying to tell me. So I want to give some background context on this. I have the privilege to be selected as a mentee in our women's mentor program that we have at work. So, as I mentioned before, I work at the community college, and part of the professional development opportunities that we have within my workplace is that we can participate in a program called the Linda Rosenthal Women's Mentor Program. And the program is designed so that women get connected every month for 9 months in this program to be exposed to learn a little bit more about the insides and outs of our district, of our community college district, with the hopes that we rise up in leadership and become presidents, vice president, deans, directors, whatever it is that your goal is that you want to be. Historically, women have not, had the same opportunities as men as we go to navigate in these environments. And so this is what this program has been designed to get at. So you get together once a month and dive into, some very powerful, literally long day trainings. And as a result of this program, our district, majority of our leadership positions are held by women as a result of participating in this program. So it's an honor to be a part of this cohort. It's an honor to, be just in the same room with women and share our stories and be vulnerable and work on this thing together. Now, I must admit, when I started this program, or when I applied to be a part of this program, y'all should see first off what my application looked like, because I swore they weren't going to be able to find me a mentor, because in my application I was very raw and authentic about who I am, whose I am, to be correct, and what I believe God's going to do in my life. And I don't know what position I want to hold after this. I'm young, I'm very young. Like, I'm cool with where I'm at as of right now. And so I haven't really did too much thinking or professional planning about what's next for me. I've just kind of been enjoying where I am. And so when I applied to this program and they asked that question, I didn't really have a solid answer. I just very openly and very blatantly said, I'm a child of God. So what's for me is going to be for me. I don't know what that is right now, but God knows what my next steps are going to be. And when you're choosing my mentor, I need a mentor who's not going to look at my age, who's not going to look at the current position that I hold. I need a mentor who's going to be able to speak life into me and is going to be able to understand that if God tells me I'm going to have to skip some steps, then he's going to make it happen. I don't want you to be so caught up in your schema of things, of how things have worked for your life, that you feel like I have to do XYZ to get there, because I'm telling you, I serve a God who don't play about his child. And if he wants to see me somewhere, he gonna make it happen however he wants to make it happen. So now I recognize now that could have been a little bold. I could have came across a little for me, but I am glad that I had the courage to say that at this time. Now, there is a difference between saying some stuff and believing some stuff, okay? So I feel like because I came that bold and so confident in the thing, that during these 9 months, God truly is going to do a work in my life to be like, did you mean what you say? So pray for it, girl. But I set the stage with that. I set the tone with that because on Friday, we had our first professional development session from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. nonstop. And as mentioned, haven't really thought about what's next for me. I really haven't. I haven't had a reason to. I just don't know. It's not as spelled out once you get to where I am now, working in the college. And so I didn't know what I want. There were people in the room who knew that at the end of this program, I want to apply to X position. I want to apply to Y position, or I know I want to be a college president. I don't know that. I don't know if that's what I wanted. I don't know. So I wasn't sure what I was going to get out of this program. I wasn't sure, what I'm working toward. I don't know. I'm just here. I said yes because God wanted me to say yes. So, yeah. So, to say the least, I was guarded coming in. I also recognized that I was still very much one of the younger people in the room. There were some older people there, but there were also some people my age. But, you still feel it like, okay, we young in this thing. We don't know what we doing either. And I was just kind of taking in the fact that I was here, that I applied, I got accepted. God wants me to be in the room. Um, and so we got to the point where we got to meet our mentor. My mentor is a current dean at another college, really dope. Hey, Genesis, if you listening, hey. But there were a lot. It was beautiful to see how many people supported this program. And when I looked around at some of the other, mentees and mentors, there were presidents in the room, vice presidents in the room, general council members from district office. There were a lot of heavy hitters in the room. So it was honored to be in the room. But one of the most powerful moments of the night for me came at the very end, when the people who are organizing this, what we call our planning committee, our planning committee, they did like a speed dating round. Each of them came to our table, spent about 5 minutes, and told their story. Now y'all know, I'm a sucker for stories. Obviously, I consider myself a storyteller. I'm on this podcast telling my story every single day. But it was beautiful because these are women who they're seen their names in emails, but I haven't really got a chance to know them, or people who I do know closely, but never really had the opportunity or chance to kind of get to know their full story. So, this was my favorite part of the night because hearing the stories reminded me and comforted me that it's okay that I don't know what I'm going to do next. And it probably is the best position to be in because I'm truly vulnerable and open to whatever at this point. But I mean, we had people going around saying that, we had deans going around saying that, they left the field to work, came back, got pregnant, um, took a pay cut to do something, went lateral to do something, and then jumped over here for a few months and then got here a few months only to be where they are now as vice president, right? We also had people who were full-on entrepreneurs and, got injured and now, found themselves needing to work to cover the cost of their medical bills and simply got asked to do something and been there for years, for 20 something years, right? We've had people who, had no experience in the job at all. But because of how people saw how hard they worked, or because people have saw what they were capable of, that they asked them when a new position came and that they applied, right? We had people who didn't even want to apply to jobs, but were kind of voluntold, like, we want you to do this. And they did. And now here they are at some of the highest levels. And we've had people who, came from no education at all, worked at an associate's degree to get where they're at. And when I say I was so emotional, I wanted to cry during each and every single one of these testimonies and these stories. It really was so moving and so powerful and comforting for someone so young as me to know that it's not going to be pretty and you're not going to be able to figure this out. And it's okay if you don't know what's next. But then that's when I heard God whisper, your next step is not going to make sense to you. And so I said, that's cute, but Lord, what? You're kind of scaring me at this point. Like, I'm hearing all these dramatic stories. Are you about to shake my entire life up? I don't know. So he gave me. And as I was reflecting on that and studying on that and trying to unpack what that means, I came across a few Bible stories that, as I look through it with fresh eyes, can now kind of see what God was talking about. And so in John 9, there's a story of Jesus healing a blind man. And when Jesus goes to heal this blind man, who everybody in the town knows is blind, everybody in the town knows he's blind. What he did was spit and grab some mud mixed that together, slapped it on the guy's eyes, told him to go down to a pool, and then he was healed. He could see again. And I looked at that and I immediately was like, why was all this necessary? Because none of this makes sense. Jesus, we didn't heard so many stories of you just speaking things into existence, telling people they're healed, telling people to get up from the dead, telling people to walk again. Why does this man need to receive your spit in his eye to be healed? And then when I thought about it even further, you did all that nastiness and the touch of your spit in this mud didn't even heal him. He didn't even get healed until he got up, walked over to a pool, and then on his way home received his healing. Like, none of that makes sense. Why didn't you just heal him with what we know you're capable of? Why wasn't that enough? Right? But then I looked a little deeper, and the pool of Siloam, I'm guessing that's how you say it. Again, not a Bible scholar. Look it up for yourself. The pool of Siloam meant sent. So he couldn't have been healed by the spit and the mud in his eye, or he wouldn't have been sent. He was sent somewhere. So that blind man, that step probably didn't make sense to him, but he did it anyway. And then he got sent and he got healed. But again, I'm still, what are you trying to tell me, Lord? This next step won't make sense. I pray this don't mean you spit in my eye. I pray, right? But that whole healing didn't make sense to me. It didn't. But he got healed. So can we be mad at him? No, we can't, because he's healed. But then I thought about Moses and this process of being delivered, right? Moses and the Red Sea, like God telling Moses to go up to the Red Sea and then his people's gonna walk through it. That did not make sense. Like, Lord, it's a whole ocean. What you mean we finna walk through it? That does not make sense. And then to just see how that whole interaction happened, Moses very confidently, he's a leader, right? Moses very confidently told his people to be still, right? Like, in the midst of everything that's happening, you're being chased by all of these people who want to kill you. Moses said, be still. The Lord's going to fight for us. He got our back. But then the Lord responded and said, why are you telling these people to talk to me? I told you to go move. Divide the Red Sea with your staff. Now, hold on, Lord. This don't make sense. You told us to take everything up with you. Now you're telling us not to talk to you, but to go walk into a Red Sea? This does not make sense. That move did not make sense. And so I'm telling y'all, I'm baffled by this, and I'm praying that y'all will be able to pray on it and speak life and tell me what this means. But we are literally looking at impossible situations, and God's telling them to do something. And what seems impossible and what you feel like you're inequipped in, that's the very thing God's calling you to do. It makes no sense that you're telling me to divide a whole entire sea with a stick. I feel a little unprepared for this. Okay? I feel like I need a scuba suit. I feel like I need something to contain this water in. I don't feel like I have the resources you need. I don't feel like I'm understanding your direction. When I said we was going to talk to you, you was going to figure it out. I didn't think that meant you was going to tell me to walk in the middle of an ocean. Again, don't make sense. But as we know, it happened. As we know, as they walked through the Red Sea parted and they walked on dry land. They were literally looking at a wall of water as they were walking, and the Israelites were free. And all of the Egyptians that were, trying to come after them and capture them, and their whole army got engulfed. And it made me think, if that wasn't the path that God wanted them to go through, and they went through dry land, maybe they would have had to fight. Maybe it would have been a whole thing, right? Maybe they would have got free, but the Egyptians would still be alive and they would have had a bounty on their head the whole life. But the way that God wanted them to go, one, we saw his powerfulness, we saw his sovereignty, we saw just his power. We saw that he's able to do what he needs to do. So that was, his glory was on full display. They did that. He was able to work a miracle, but also at the same time that he freed the Israelites, he also took care of their enemies in one swoop. Okay, looking back on it now. All right, Lord. But again, if I was Moses, this don't make sense. I don't get it. And so then the last one that I thought about was, and this one really still gets me, a few chapters prior to this parting the Red Sea moment, God sent down a whole bunch of plagues. He sent down a whole bunch of plagues because Pharaoh's heart was hard and he just refused to believe, you know, about God. He refused to believe all the things that were happening. He didn't want to set these people free. And so the plague of the blood, I mean, all of the plagues, like, okay, Lord, is this necessary? But the plague of the blood, when he took the largest body of water, the Nile River, and he turned it into blood, a whole river full of blood. This don't make sense, Lord. Because now that you did that, people can't eat out of the Nile. People can't drink out of the Nile. People literally are dying. They cannot live because you've contaminated the Nile. This does not make any sense. Why are you doing this? And then when I thought about it, you did all this and Pharaoh's heart was still hard. You would think that if you're going to go to this amount of measure, if you're going to bring this much harm and damage to people, at least let that be the final thing. And Pharaoh be like, all right, y'all, I get it. But that wasn't even the case. His heart was still hard after the fact. So Lord, this does not make sense. But then I thought about this, why was it necessary for all 10 of these plagues? Well, in the process, idols were being demolished. Dependency on God was being established, right? Like you can no longer worship this big, great body of water that you've been worshiping all these years. Like they literally, like, because of how powerful and how resourceful the Nile was, they really thought of it as a deity. They couldn't do that anymore. So in the process, idols were demolished. People started depending on God again. Pharaoh was also punished, right? Like I had this big epiphany, like, well, it ain't about you. Like God plagued the Nile because it's not about you. It's about Pharaoh. And you thirsty, but it ain't about you, right? And in the end, the Israelites got free. And God's presence was revealed to a whole bunch of people. And so obviously, there's a point in everything that God wants us to do. However, right, this still makes me think, oh, y'all, I can't get on this chair. Don't make fun of me, you two people. However, though, this really does make me think, I don't even know what my next steps are professionally. Even with the podcast, even with, the things that I'm doing, I'm at a point where I'm cool. Like I'm content. I'm happy. I'm in a rhythm. But why would God whisper to me, my next step is not going to make sense? I don't know. But I think maybe that's a word for y'all too. I think it's a word for us too, that instead of trying to spend so much time trying to figure it out, that we should just spend more time, getting connected with God and working on our dependency with him, because clearly it's only going to make sense to him. That clearly we're going to be wasting our time trying to figure out. That clearly, if he's saying it's not going to make sense, why should we worry about it? Why should we stress about it? But I also think that it's a warning for us to be on guard. That just like in all of these cases where things just did not make sense, what he's probably going to be asking you to do something absurd. He's probably going to be asking you to do something that's going to rock your world, that you don't think you're qualified for, that you don't think is possible, that you don't think you're ready for, that you don't think you're equipped for, that you feel like, you should be doing something else first to get qualified for, he's probably going to be asking us to do something like that. And I'm not sure. I don't know what that is. I just know that the word he gave me is that our next step isn't going to make sense. And so I wanted to honor this time to share that with y'all, because I believe that when it's a word for me, it's not only a word for me, that I need to share that out with other people, and maybe that touches your spirit too. But I also feel like we should be on guard, that our next move is not going to make sense. And so, in the spirit of it not making sense, I didn't want to stress about it and spend too much time trying to make it make sense. But I'm excited. We'll see what happens from this. I can already tell that this mentorship journey is going to be so powerful for me. Like I said, I really, really, absolutely love my mentor. And just knowing that I came from Woman Evolve and gotten empowered in that way, and then I'm getting poured into this way, it is an overwhelming, it is an overwhelming experience of like, holy crap, God really, really loves me. Like, he really loves me. So that's the quick thought I have for y'all today. Nothing too deep, nothing too wild. But, as God continues to reveal what that next step is, I will absolutely keep you all in the loop. But that's the word. Your next step is not going to make sense. That's all I got. But I do know that once it does make sense, that it's obviously going to be a step that's going to allow us to be able to be us, to shine brighter, and to stay holy. And if that's not possible, we just gonna have to take that up with God. Bye, holy people. See y'all next month.